everybody. Welcome to Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show. I'm your host, Jared Petty. I'm joined today by the radiant, the ravishing, the marvelous.
Oh, thank you.
Who are you?
My name is Alexa Ray Corriea.
Alexa Ray Corriea. And Alexa Ray, you are here with an exciting new endeavor to announce.
Oh, I do. So if you're watching this, please head over to whatsgoodgames.com. Me and three of my very good friends have started a all-woman podcast and video group focused on video games and some lifestyle stuff. What happened is several months ago, and probably like a year ago, I was hanging out. I think I was drinking. We were absolutely drinking. I was with Andrew Renee, whom you may have seen, on GameStop TV or Kind of Funny, and we were talking. Andrew and I are very good friends, and she's like, "We should do a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do a thing." And she's like, "I don't know what, but let's start planning this thing." We're always drinking champagne, so that's how we sound when we drink champagne.
So when you start champagne, you start podcasts?
We start thinking.
Or when you drink champagne,
You
scheme.
Although
okay.
we're either scheming or we're ordering Thai food at 10 p.m. watching the Lord of the Rings movies.
Okay.
So one of those, we were doing the scheming part. And we talked about it, and like it was on and off. Like she got a lot of big projects last year. I changed jobs. A lot of stuff went on. And then we are also friends with Christine Steimer and Brittany Brombaker. Brittany runs blonder.com, and Christine has had myriad jobs in the industry.
Yep.
And we're all really good friends. And Andrea said to me, she was like, "I think I'd like to get Brittany and Steimer in on this." And I was like, "Why didn't I think of that? This is great." So the four of us have been talking about it, and then met and solidified everything. And now it is this thing that you can watch. We are doing the podcast. If we make $1, we're doing the podcast is happening regardless.
Yeah, so it's going to happen.
We're totally going to happen. Weekly podcast. And if you guys want to see more, if you want to see us do video, one of our stretch goals is a drunk QA or like a drunk explains video. We do like drinking.
Games, lifestyle.
Nice cocktails.
And cocktails.
Nice cocktails.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is called what?
What's Good Games.
What's Good Games. And where do we go to find this?
Whatsgoodgames.com or patreon.com/whatsgoodgames.
What's Good Games. Patreon.com/whatsgoodgames if you want to support. And you're going to be able to check it out for free, right? That's the show's getting made.
Podcast.
And this is video. This is a video podcast, audio podcast, both.
So it is audio for now. Our first baby goal is video podcast.
Okay, that's the first baby goal. Okay, so that's it.
That's the first baby goal, and then the other goals are extra shows. Andrea and I love doing interviews, and between the four of us, we're so well connected in the industry. We want to like fly our friends out and like do interviews with them and stuff.
Yeah.
And go to shows and do more stuff, preview stuff. So yeah.
What's a teaser? Your first topics? You guys talked about that yet? Like, what if we tune into the very first episode? What are we going to hear about?
Arms,
like these? Like no, our arms?
Arms, the Nintendo game.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go.
Arms.
So that's what you guys are going to be talking about. All right,
Arms.
Excellent. So I just thought perhaps it'd be discussion. I mean, arms are useful. They allow us to lift and carry things.
Unless you're me, then they're just in the way and broken and bad.
You got like 1.5.
I've got like 1.5. I've got my regular hand and then I've got my raptor hand.
Okay, so there we go.
We're all good.
Like your raptor.
Sometimes my hand locks up.
Yeah.
And it'll happen at random. So all of a sudden I'm like doing a presentation and I'm like, and here you can see the bar graph, and they're like, "What happened to your hand?" I'm like, raptor hand.
You should just like start like clutching a crystal ball all the time. You just be like,
or like here, like this.
Exactly. Yeah. Or maybe like a flame, like there in the middle. Like, I am a wizard.
I'm gonna get that prop and put it in my purse. So when it happens, like if I'm walking down Market Street, I can just be like,
"That's what's going on." There we go. See, this sounds kind of fantastic.
Thanks for the idea.
No, I'm very excited to listen to / if available, watch this absolutely and support it. I'm going to be part of the podcast cinematic universe.
The podcast cinematic universe.
Excellent.
Indeed.
That's patent pending. Good. I'm really excited about this.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on. And you guys, we've known each other for we met a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
When you were at GameSpot and I was at IGN.
Yeah, that was forever ago.
That was a long time ago when that happened. Goodness gracious. We've known each other. We've lived near one another for a long time. And yet, Alexa and I, it'll be a few months. We'll run into each other. We'll not see each other for like 4 months. We'll run into each other. And every time, it's just a delight. You are so much fun. And I've actually wanted to have you on the show for...
Since October.
Since we started. Yeah.
We've been talking since October. It's been bad.
But it's happened. We are here. And this is a classic Pockets Full of Soup episode where we're going to talk about the people we're thankful for in life. Before we get to that, I do want to thank our Patreon producers, Robert Nieder, Nick Rie, who make this show possible through their generous support, and also to all of you who support us on Patreon. So thank you so much, guys. Patreon.com/Jared Petty. Thanks for that. this week, give your money to her.
No.
So
Thank
anyway,
you.
Alexa, I'm going to ask you that first question that we go to until I decide to change it. Please tell me about somebody you're thankful for.
So I'm thankful for a young woman who goes by the name Christy Lynn.
Christy Lynn.
One name.
Christy
one
Lynn.
word.
Is
She has a last name. I don't know if she wants me to broadcast it on the internet.
We'll just keep it Christy Lynn. Then.
Christy Lynn.
And that's do like Crystalline?
Christy Lynn.
Christy Lynn?
Christy, like Christy with an I, and then Lynn tacked on the end, and it's one name.
I'm very excited about this because I grew up in a land of I grew up in the American Southeast where we have like Billy Joes. And
it's like that. It's like a Billy Joe.
Lynn. I like that
Christy
name.
Lynn.
Crystal Lynn.
Christy is my best friend.
When did you meet her?
So, her and I meeting is actually very serendipitous and a little strange, and it was a big amalgamation of adults' dumb choices that led her and I into each other's paths when we were 12.
Okay, so you were 12 years old. She was 12 years old. You're the same age?
Yeah, we're the same age.
And grown-ups made dumb choices and you met?
I am 1 month older than her. We're very close in age.
So you win.
I win.
Okay.
Basically is what I mean. So I grew up, and this is a little bit of a long-winded story, but
I'm all right with long-winded story. This is Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show.
So I grew up in the American Northeast.
Okay.
I am from Connecticut. Connecticut is very small, but when you drive through it, it feels very big, like the highways never end. It feels,
Really?
it's like a vortex. You go in and you're in Connecticut for 5 hours before you reach New York.
Is it
It's
like
crazy.
going into the TARDIS? Like you go inside and it's bigger on the
It's
inside
bigger.
than the outside?
Connecticut's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Is that on their license plates? Bigger on the inside?
It should be. It should be. And I lived near the shoreline. I lived very close to the ocean, which was cool.
Oh, wow. So like right on the beach or?
Not right on the beach. I was about a 25 minute drive away from it. So we
Okay.
got like the breeze and everything. But it's like we had, classic New England fall, classic shitty New England winter, classic really awful humid summer. So I lived in like the epitome of like, you would like growing up there, but as an adult, there was nothing for me because my options were like work at Starbucks or sit behind a desk, typing up numbers for insurance companies' schematics or whatever.
As
I don't know
opposed
what
to sitting
insurance
behind a
companies
desk
do.
and typing up words. Right?
Typing up
Okay.
words
Oh, okay.
about entertainment properties. Yeah.
So it's kind of not a tremendous amount of variety in the industry there. You wanted to work in there. I actually don't know how you got started in entertainment. I would love to know that.
That's a story for later.
A story
but I will
for
share
another
it.
time. What's
'Cause
that?
that actually plays into my story with Christy.
Let's
actually.
hear about it then.
So I was 12, and my family lived in this neighborhood that was very hilly. You 3 houses up, 3 houses down, 4 houses up, 4 houses down, and then like a winding road. And it was great and awful for Halloween because a lot of kids lived on the street.
Okay.
For the longest time, it was mostly children. No one around my age, but I had a lot of babysitting gigs because people were having babies, and I'd have like a baby and a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I
you're
just
like,
made
I'm
mad
12.
bank.
I'm going to make mad bank.
I got my CPR certification, and I made mad bank.
That's kind of fantastic.
So it was September of my 8th grade year. I was 12 and a half, and the entire time I'd been living on that street, I had no friends like within walking distance. And my neighborhood.
I'm going to interrupt for a
it.
second because you said 2 awesome things in a row, and I want to comment on them. First, you pointed out the fact that this street was awesome for Halloween. And I just love that you said that of all the things in the world you could have chosen to say about your street, you said that it was awesome for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me so happy. I love Halloween. It's my favorite
holiday.
day of the year.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. And the fact that you went there makes me so happy. What was your last Halloween costume?
Oh, shit. I was a very good friend of mine is working on the South Park game. So she was Tweak, and I was Craig from South Park.
You were I did not see this costume.
Because there's a lot of yaoi drawn of those two. Like, there's a lot of, like, you look, if you don't know what yaoi is, Google it. I'm not going to explain it here. Okay. And so we were like, let's dress up as them and just be really dumb all night. And we were, and it was great.
All right. So there's that. That was your last
What
Halloween
about you?
costume. My last costume, I was Baymax 2 years ago.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have a kind of ridiculous Baymax costume. It has a little inflator in it and everything. It was, being Baymax is a lot of fun. But last year, what was I last year? Oh my goodness. Now, I'm on the spot. It was good too. It was a really good costume and I was proud of it. And I've forgotten right now. So we're going to say Baymax so you can keep the show flowing.
Okay, Baymax.
Second question before we get back to the story. You said 12 and a half. Isn't it? When do we stop caring about the half? Because that's so important.
I think after you're 12.
Is that the,
I think
is that
that's
the number?
last one.
Is that the last one you care
Because
about?
when you're 13, you're a teenager, and then it's like, I'm a teenager, and then when you hit 18, it's, oh crap, I'm going to be an adult like tomorrow. Like after that, it's like, forget it.
Yeah, I can
12 and a
now
half.
be tried as an adult. It's, yeah. So that's
12 and a half, when you
12
care about being older.
I like that. You watch Steven Universe?
I do.
Connie's what, 12 and 3/4?
I think so.
Yeah, 12 and 3/4. I think that's what she described. It's still very important.
Not counting.
Okay, can't remember.
I'm not counting anymore.
So I interrupted your story. Back here on the hilly street where
12 and a half.
you're making the cheddar.
The cheddar.
The cheddar, which is that really even a term?
Yeah, cheddar.
Okay, good. Oh, excellent. You're making cheddar as a babysitter. And
I'm 12 and a half. And at the beginning of my 8th grade year, I have a friend from 7th grade who's like a friend. She's not my best friend, but we hang out when like 5 of us get together. And I'm like, she's cool. It's fine. Everything's great. And she comes to our like first lunch of the year.
Okay.
With a new girl in tow.
A new girl, you say?
A new girl.
Okay. New to town?
New to the school, new to the public school system.
All right.
As I found out later. And she had long Disney princess, like straight brown hair.
Oh.
Very shiny. And she had a very, she actually she looks a little bit like Kristen Stewart. I'll get to, and she's been able to do something with that, but I'll get to that in the future.
All right.
So she looks a little bit like Kristen Stewart. Very, very delicate, like big, like beautiful green eyes. And she's and she's very tiny and she's very, very quiet.
Okay.
I, as a 12 and a half year old, am the exact opposite of this girl. I'm the ringleader of my friend group, but also my hair was maybe as long as it is now. And I wore it because I'm an anime character in pigtails.
Okay.
Until I was 13.
All right. So
up here.
Just way up here.
So it was like one here and then like one up here. So I wore my hair in pigtails and Sailor Moon buns and everything.
Okay.
And I was,
was that an anime infatuation at that point? Or was that just because you are a living anime character and just didn't know it yet?
Well, probably the latter, but also I liked experimenting with my hair and like accessorizing and doing stuff with it. So I just put it up every day.
If I had hair, I would experiment with it.
You can have some. You can have what I got it cut today. I can go collect it and give it to you.
Just kind of duct tape it up here.
Here you go.
Sounds good. Again, I'd look like Greg Universe. All right, so we move on. So this is Christy Lynn.
Christy Lynn.
I can't
That's
say
okay.
this right.
Christy
Lynn.
Christy Lynn.
Christy. Wow. That
Totally
should
okay.
not be that hard.
At first I thought she was Crystalline, but she is Christy Lynn.
Christy Lynn.
Christy Lynn. So she's at the lunch table. I'm introduced to her. I'm like, great, new friend. And I'm like loud and crazy because it's me. And we have a good lunch and we go to class and a couple more days go by. And the next week starts and I don't really think about it. She's in our friend group now, like we're eating lunch together. Stuff is happening. And the other girl who brought her to lunch, her name is Monica. I actually don't know what happened to her. So she's out of the picture. Sorry, Monica. And she's like, hey, by the way, you live on street name, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she says, so Christy Lynn came from the private school one town over, the Catholic school.
Okay.
And she moved onto your street recently. Like, you two should hook up.
So you're neighbors, but
We're
you didn't know
basically
you were
neighbors. And I was like, oh, heck yes. Finally. I'm like, someone's on my damn street. So
that I don't have to babysit. What does she think of you at this point? I'm curious. Like, you're
Her?
like, she's friend group there. You said she's kind of quiet, and
She probably thought I was
you're a bit
nuts.
boisterous. Okay.
She probably thought I was nuts, and I think she thought I was nuts for a while after this because what happened, how I chose to handle this situation of her living on my street, was like classic, like. So that day, as we were all like, we have all of our classes, the classrooms are in like a square cluster, and then there's like a hallway full of lockers, and then you go out and it's the main part of the school, and then the buses and whatnot. So we're at our lockers, getting ready to leave for the day, take the bus, whatever. And I didn't take the bus. My mother picked me up because I was too dang good for the bus.
Oh, yeah, you didn't. You weren't fooling with that.
No, and
that
I also
bus life was not for you.
No, when I was younger, like when I was a small child, I got bullied on the bus.
Yeah.
So I was so triggered, I never went back.
Well, I'm not a
triggered
big
me.
fan of the bus. Molly Ringwald and 16 Candles. I loathe the bus. She says that, and I always agreed with that sentiment.
Buses trigger me to this day. Any bus.
Any bus.
Any
kind of
bus just triggers.
Even those
Can't deal
cool
with it.
double-decker buses?
Can't do it. Can't do bus. Because someone will spit in my hair or call me dumb or poke me or something. I got bullied as a kid, but like I turned out fine. So
except for the whole bus thing.
Except for the whole bus thing, the bus fear, the fear of the bus.
No, I mean the things that we're afraid of as adults are there are mundane parts of life that just simply horrify me because of things that happen when you're a kid. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So you're afraid of buses.
Afraid of buses. I don't take the bus. So I know my mother is waiting outside because my mother always picked me up on time and was there, so I could walk out the door into the car, go with her to get a chai latte at Brugger's, go home and do nothing or do my homework.
It sounds like a good life.
It was a good life. I had a very good life. I had a very good parents, good childhood, all that stuff, except for the bullying on the bus. And I walk and I see her at her locker as I'm packing up my books, and I look at her and I'm like, now is the time. And I get up, and this is the same day Monica has told me she moved onto your street.
Okay.
And this girl has said nothing. No one has said anything else to me.
Yep.
And I like hoist my backpack and I like stomp out and I walk straight to her locker and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hi. Like we've been having lunch together for like maybe 2 weeks now. And I'm like, you live on my street now. I'm coming over.
It's like, here I come.
And she was like, oh, okay. I live on, and she gave me the house number. And I'm like, that's 3 houses down the hill. You're really close. And she was like, okay, when are you coming over? And I'm like,
this is the best pre-teenage awkwardness. This is fantastic.
I was the best, worst preteen. So
I was kind of hoping you just like suddenly like ran up and hugged her and like, we are best friends now.
That's probably accurate for what happened next.
Kind of
but
fantastic.
I looked at her and I'm like, she's like, when are you coming over? And I'm like, today. And she's like, okay, I'm taking the bus so I can. And I'm like, my mom picks me up. Just come with me.
All right.
So I took her with me. We dropped her off at home and I'm like, great, I'll be over in a bit. And I go home and I like sync with my mother. I change out of my school clothes into my like fun afternoon clothes, which is just like another pair of jeans and an anime t-shirt.
Wait, is that a thing? Like changing into mid-afternoon fun clothes like in school?
I would always, and I do it when I go home too. Well, now I go home and I take my pants off and that's it.
Okay.
But like as a kid,
those are your fun clothes?
that's it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I'm not going out. If I'm just gonna stay home and drink wine, there's no pants. But like, you know, I wanted to like look nice for school, so I'd come home and like wash off my crazy eyeshadow color, and like just change into a different pair of jeans that maybe had holes in it and was a little more comfier.
Yeah.
And like a comfier t-shirt or something.
Okay.
And then I'd be like, all right, because we got out of school at like 2 p.m. like in Connecticut.
Yeah.
School is 7 a.m. to like 2 p.m. So
yeah, it's about like that where I grew up. Yeah.
I had the whole day ahead of me
Just like,
for
yes,
fun shit.
Everything's ready to go.
Ready
Here
to
we
go.
are.
So
and I got a new friend on my street, 3 houses down. Was this the first friend you'd ever had on your street that was like close to you?
This is the first friend I had on my street, period.
That was an amazing.
I know. And I was so excited. So I got ready to go see her.
Yeah.
And I lived at the bottom, literally, I lived at the bottom of the hill where my parents still live to this day in my childhood home. And she lived at the top. Or her house was at the top of the hill. So I was like, and the hill, by the way, is like this because Connecticut.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like a 40, I don't know, I don't do math. Whatever angle this is
It is a
what I
steep
have to
angle.
walk up. Steep angle, like stairs. So I walk up this hill and I'm like, I'm going to go see her. And she knew I was coming. And if I called her right now, she would tell the story the same way she tells everyone this story. She said that the thing that she remembers the most about me coming over that day is her sitting at the window watching for me and me coming up the street with my pigtails bouncing, like just ready to be friends, like just ready to go. She was like, your hair was swinging and you were, and I was just like, anime character, let's go. Like, I
Genki dis.
Pretty, very, very genki. Yeah.
Just like boop, 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 up the hill. So you got to the top of the hill, caught your breath.
Caught my breath a little
bit. And friendship began?
And friendship began. And I went in and I said hello. She introduced me to, she introduced me to everyone who lived in that house, what ended up being her grandfather, her grandmother, her mother, her older brother, her younger sister. And I found out, and their beagle dog and their like 3 cats. And I found out later, I did not find this out that day. We continued to hang out. She would come over and she met my family. So every day after school, either she'd be over, I'd go over.
Yeah.
But I found out later that there had been an issue where her father had some addiction problems and had gambled away a lot of the family's money. Mm-hmm. The parents had gotten a divorce and they had lost their house, and the mother had taken her 3 children, a boy of 18, a girl of 12, and then a girl of like 8, and moved them all in with her parents. her grandparents into a 1-story ranch house
Okay.
in my hometown.
So there they are on the top of the hill.
And there they are at the top of the hill all together. The house is like packed and it's like a little messy. And I'm just like, I'm meeting all these people and they're wonderful. Everyone is warm. The mother's warm. Her sister's adorable. Her older brother is an older brother. You know how that goes when you're 12. And they're all wonderful. They're all wonderful people. And I'm like, this is great. And she starts coming over a lot. And I don't know when it happened, and I think it was maybe many years later that I realized that this person was going to be the one person in my life who would, no matter what happened, no matter what I did, and no matter where I went, would be the person that would be my truest friend forever.
So you don't remember when?
I don't remember when I realized it happened. She was the person that I could be like weird with. And like, I was not I don't want to say I wasn't well liked as a teenager, but I was like the odd girl out. I wasn't a popular girl. I didn't get blonde streaks in my hair. I didn't go get manicures. I didn't go to Cabo with my family on vacation. I didn't do cheer. I didn't do any sports because fuck sports.
Was this just a lack of interest in these particular things and a focus on other things?
Yeah, they were not stimulating to me.
What did you enjoy?
Drama club, surprise! Drama club, newspaper. I helped form and start that middle school's first newspaper. I was like the EIC, like my 8th grade year. I did a lot of those two things. And then I didn't really get involved in other school activities because the thing that I did when I came home every day was I would consume media or whatever, but I would spend hours and hours and hours just writing, like reading and writing.
What were you writing?
Fiction.
What kind of fiction?
It's garbage now. I mean, I was writing like fantasy fiction. And then when I became old enough to use the internet, it started becoming fan fiction.
Okay. Oh, you were a fanfic writer.
Yes. Christy Lynn and I actually discovered the internet together, and I will get to that. I think that's why we're such good friends.
Okay, well,
because we discovered the internet together.
Okay, so many things happening here. Okay, let's go to that. First, I have to know who you're writing fan fiction about.
So there's an anime called Yu Hakusho that I don't know how many people have watched it. It's not recent. It's from like it's like the 80s, 90s. Like Funimation dubbed it, and the dub ran on Toonami. To this day, my favorite anime ever. And this is and this anime became one of the things that Christy Lynn and I bonded over.
Okay, tell us about that.
So she and I would like watch it together on Toonami. Like my parents, if Christy Lynn came out, my parents would just like, she would like walk in the back door and they'd be like, oh, hey, my dad at some point, I don't remember when it started, but my dad started calling her my second daughter because she was over so often. And same thing up at her house. Like we just became part of each other's families and we'd just walk in and it'd be like, oh, Alex is here. Christy Lynn's here, you know? So Christy Lynn, and Christy Lynn went to public school for 1 year. She was in my middle school for 1 year for 8th grade. And then as her family got back on its feet, she went back to private Catholic school in 9th grade.
Okay. Whereupon you stayed in public school?
I stayed in public school and did the same shit I did in middle school.
Okay.
Drama and newspaper and writing.
So it was a next door thing.
Yes.
Then after that. It was after school. Back
every
together,
day.
Time to see Christy Lynn.
Every day. I would come home at, 2:05. I'd be home. And either she'd be sitting on my front stoop waiting for me, or, I'd call her and be like, I'm home, I'm coming up. Like, we were always together. My mom would drive us to Brugger's Bagels to get chai lattes.
This is the second mention of chai lattes.
Chai lattes were a
chai
thing.
lattes is an important part of life here. About what year is this, if you don't mind me asking? Right around what period?
Oh, my God.
Doesn't have to be exact.
When was I 12?
Yeah,
2000? I turned
2000?
12 in 2000.
Okay.
So this was like 2001, 2002. I was, we were becoming teenagers. We were 13, 14. It's happening.
Yeah.
She had a guy that was like her boyfriend, but you hold hands in the hallway. Like, what is a boyfriend? I was, boys were figuring out that I was always like the girl in the guy group that was like, well, let's roll around in the mud. Like, no one cares. And then like one day when I was 13, I woke up and all my guy friends were like, oh, shit, you're a girl. Like I swear to God, they all recognized it once. And they were like, and I don't know if it was like I came in one day wearing a certain shirt or like I wore my hair down one day. Cause I had like the straight across bangs with like the straight cut. So I had like the little like anime haircut. And I don't know if I came in one day and they were all like, or I don't know, but it happened.
It's the Winnie Cooper scene. You ever watch The Wonder Years?
Yes, the Winnie Cooper thing.
The very first episode of The Wonder Years is Winnie Cooper shows up in the go-go boots, and suddenly, like, they realize she's
a woman now.
She's a girl. Yeah, it's just like what
That's
has
it.
something to do with the go-go boots, and just bam, suddenly, holy cow! All my perceptions have changed as a kid. I'd like to know a little bit. So you were into drama. You were into writing fanfic.
Yes.
What was Crystalline into? What did she love at that point in her life?
So she was into the same stuff. We got into fan fiction together. That's a separate story coming in like 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. Maybe let's. I don't want to interrupt the flow of things. Then, is there something you want to buffer between those two?
So she and I would watch Yu Hakusho together, and we would actually. So at that point, the Funimation was dubbing ahead of Toonami, and they were releasing the DVDs before the episodes aired on Toonami.
Okay.
Back then, anime DVDs were $25.
Oh yeah.
For 4 episodes.
Yep.
4 episodes. I did not have a credit card, so I was on the Funimation website. I would put cash in an envelope with a mail order form and send it to Funimation, who would then send me a DVD like 2 months later.
Yeah, I remember. I'm an old man. I remember anime VHSs being $80 to buy sometimes. Just
from FYE?
Huh? From so what I would do is I'd go rent Robotech episodes. That's how I watched Macross in its adulterated form. Was just renting them because there was no way I could afford to buy them at that age. But I just run through them. But yeah. $25,
$4 4 episodes,
mailing it off, waiting for it to come. Now, that's fantastic. Anyway,
the DVD would come in, and I'd come home, and I'd have it, and I just remember calling her from my parents. Christine and I spent so much time talking on the phone. My parents got a private line for my bedroom because I was hogging the home line. Because even when we weren't hanging out, we were on the phone at like 10 p.m. if we weren't sleeping.
Even though you were 3 doors down.
3 doors down. So I'd call her and be like, Christine, the DVD is here, and she'd come over, and we'd be like, "Woo, Yu Hakusho," and we'd watch it. Other things we did, and I think the thing that probably bonded us most fiercely is we played 2 video games together to completion. Kingdom Hearts 1 and Final Fantasy X-2.
Okay. 10-2.
In our early friendship, we played them both together. And Kingdom Hearts became like a thing between us. The same way, I have a book coming out later this year about Kingdom Hearts 2, and I've written a story on Polygon about Kingdom Hearts and my connection with my siblings. And Crystalline is the second half of that story.
Now, that's very interesting you say that because both of those are big, long RPGs.
They are.
It's fairly rare that 2 people play an entire meaty RPG together.
How did we play them, US?
They would have to be best friends, I would say. So, the kind of people that see each other every moment of every day when they're free.
Every day. She'd come over or I'd go over. I think we played Kingdom Hearts mostly at her house and 10-2 mostly at my house. Okay. And we would on weeknights too, because we were so close together. Our parents were like, if you sleep over on a Tuesday, it's fine. Yeah. And we had a furnished basement, and you couldn't hear the sound upstairs. So we would play it in the basement until like 2-3 in the morning, passing off the controller, like dealing with it together. All these inside jokes came out of it that like only we, got to. 10-2, I have a very fond memory of us getting to the point in the game where there's like a big concert and a very large plot point is revealed in a very emotional cutscene. And I remember at that time we were like, you Google the FMVs, like YouTube wasn't a thing. So like you download the FMV from like a bootleg site or something just to see the cutscene, because the cutscenes are, whoa, CGI faces.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So we were like, oh my God. Like we sitting there crying.
That kind of storytelling was still very new then.
Oh yeah.
It was extraordinary. And you're both sitting there crying side by side.
Sitting there crying. Oh. There was an incident where it took us 5 hours. We were in battle with Riku in Kingdom Hearts 1 for 5 hours because we made a critical error. We went into the battle not knowing, like we had no, and like if you remember, I think your first fight with Riku and Donald and Goofy are like locked out. So it's just Sora versus Riku, and Riku's, doing whatever he does. And we walked in and our health went down and we were like, potion. Oh my God. What happened to all our potions? We were totally empty. We had no restorative items and just our MP. And we're like, okay, we have to strategically use our magic points to heal and cast lightning or something. So we spent most of 5 hours because we found a way to cheese that. We found a way to cheese that battle so hard because there's a string of cutscenes before it that you can't skip, and we didn't want to do it again.
So instead, your solution was to grind for 5 hours.
We cheesed it. We ran in a circle as Riku chased us.
I've won fights that way before. I know what you're talking about.
And every 2 or 3 minutes, his big attack is Oblivion, where he like obliterates the battlefield.
Yep.
And we'd hear, "Welcome Oblivion!" And after like an hour and a half of this, he did this, and she was playing, and Christine just screamed, "No, Welcome Oblivion!" And she screamed it so loud it like woke my parents up. It was like a big thing. So like that became like an awful like inside joke between us.
It?
We do.
That's funny.
We do. It's still a joke. And it was just 5 hours of her and I. And at the end of that, she was controlling, and she was just like, her fingers were tired. And I'm sitting there, and it's like 3 a.m. and we're like, forget you, Riku. Like, we finished it. The cutscene is like a very poignant cutscene where like Kairi is restored in Sora or something. And we're like, we don't even care. Get through the cutscene, save, goodbye. We're done today.
Time to go to sleep.
There was and then another thing that was our thing was, so Final Fantasy VII Advent Children came out during the early years of our friendship. We were in high school at this point.
Okay.
And I remember there was no reason for us to do this, but I reserved a copy at FYE like you do. Mm-hmm. And on release day, I got a special note. We both got special notes from our parents to get out of school early so we could go to FYE, pick up the DVD, which would be available anyway at any time, and go home and watch it. I do not know to this day why we thought we needed to leave school early.
You had to see it as soon as possible.
Yeah, why we felt like we needed to pre-order it because nobody bought it.
Well, there's a reason for that.
And then we watched it like 3 times in a row.
Just over and over and over again.
Immediately.
What was your critical response?
We were like, so the first time we watched it, we were like, "Whoa, that was awesome! Final Fantasy movie! Oh my God!" And then we watched it again and we were like, "Whoa, I didn't notice that the first time." And we watched it again and we were like, "None of this makes any sense."
So you did notice that day? I wonder if that was like a in retrospect thing.
We downloaded the soundtrack, and then every time, so she and I would go on, and it's awful that so we would go to Wendy's when she was the first to get a car. She got the car first, so she would drive around, and then I got the car. But we would go at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, drive down to the town center to get Wendy's, to get chicken nuggets, and we called it a nug run, and then we later we later realized that a nug can be used as a term for drugs.
Okay, so there we go.
A nug, and we kept saying like a nug run, and we'd play, because the streets were empty because it's the middle of nowhere, Connecticut. We would blast like the Advent Children chase music and just be like like driving down the highway to Wendy's.
You guys sound like magnificent dorks. Like, just fantastic.
Oh, it was bad. We would play like the Yu Hakusho image CDs in the car and sing along in Japanese. I knew 5 words of Japanese at the time, and she knew none, and it didn't stop us.
Please tell me everyone was in love with you guys.
Everybody wanted to be us. We actually had 2 other friends. They play into the story later, who sort of joined us, and one from public school with me, one from private school with Christy, and then we became like a quartet. Okay. And the 4 of us started doing everything together. But Christy was always my number one. We were each other's number one. We were always together. So when I at the end of high school, I was the one of these four women. I was the one person who got that college offer out of state.
Okay.
And I moved to Boston, and everybody else stayed behind.
Okay.
And I remember when that happened, my parents were like, "Oh my God, it's like, oh my God, you're moving away. The baby's leaving us, whatever." And I just remember the night before I left, like I spent that whole summer, like, hanging out with these girls and doing whatever. And the night before I left at like 10 p.m., 10, 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. I just remember sitting in my living room with Christine, and like I knew I had to get in the car in like 5 hours, and she just sat with me, and like it was this big thing. It was like, I'm leaving. And in my heart, we talked about, oh, I'm going to come up and visit. And she'd come up and visit. And, I'm like, I'll be home for, Thanksgiving. And I'm a 2.5-hour train ride away. Like, I'll come back. It'll be fine. Like, everything will be fine. And you're going to, she went to art school. She's extremely artistic. She's a really, really good cosplayer right now. Specializes in cross-playing. So she only cosplays dudes.
Okay.
She looks fantastic. And I, was going for English or whatever the heck I took. And we just talked about, everything, future plans, talked about all the stuff that we're going to miss.
But you're going to see each other. Did you either of you believe it?
I believed it, but like in my heart, I was like, I'm never going to have the same relationship with her that I do now. And now I know that's a patent lie. But at the time I was really scared. I was like, I hope this doesn't, like, I'm not going to find a new best friend in college. I'm not going to find anyone like her. Like I was, I did stupid things and like, so I did stupid things and, without like getting into I can't remember every teenage mistake, but I like made shitty decisions with boys and other friends and other things. And she was just always there. There was an incident. She had a boyfriend who was abusive and not great. And she decided, and they'd been together for like 4 years. And we decided that she was going to break up with him, but she couldn't do it in person because she was scared. So I got in my car and met this guy in a parking lot and literally did the like, don't come around here anymore. Don't talk to her anymore. She doesn't want to talk to you. And did the like, I am Italian, but I did the Italian mafia. Don't you come around anymore. And he would like drive past the house.
Ugh.
And I remember the night before her high school graduation, I slept over because he had been being weird and she didn't want to be alone. And I'm like, I'm just going to be here. And like, it was and is one of the only people in my life that we can just be next to each other. And that's enough.
Tell me about a time she made you cry.
Like bad cry?
I don't know.
Never bad cry. I think this is going to sound really, really cheesy. So she got married a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Her husband is like, they're so perfect for each other because she absolutely wears the pants. Like she's totally the alpha, but he is like so devoted to her. It's adorable. I love them so much. But we were all getting ready. I was a bridesmaid. We were all getting ready. And her sister, who is the maid of honor, and one other bridesmaid and someone else were kind of everyone was in a tizzy getting their hair done and doing whatever and trying to get together. We were late to the ceremony and we were running late. Christine's always late, but I love her. And Christine is not in her wedding dress, and her wedding dress is like still hanging there. And the photographer is like, whatever. And everyone else is kind of a little absorbed in what's going on. So I turned to her and I'm like, give me the dress. And I put her in her wedding dress. And her mom saw what was happening and came over and helped button up I had to help button up her back, but it was strapless, and I held it up to her while her mom and her sister helped her button up the back. And I was just standing with her in this freaking gorgeous white gown, perfectly makeup done, hair done. And she just looks at me. She doesn't say anything. She's very clearly nervous. And she just looks at me and I'm holding her up and I'm just like, and like, that was it. Like she turned away as the photographer took some pictures of her with her mother. And I just like went into the bathroom and just had like like, don't get my mascara. Don't. And I was just like, man, like this is the moment. She'll do the same for me one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, she will.
What defines Christy Lynn? What's the essence of her character?
Christy Lynn is without a doubt the most selfless person I've ever met. And like, I know a lot of people that do a lot for other people and are like good people and are helpful and whatever, but she is just completely and totally selfless. She doesn't talk ill of anyone. I love to talk shit. She does not shit talk. She tells facts and she tells it how it is. She does not speak ill of anyone, even people that have wronged her. She's just like, nope, I'm just going to walk away. She is there. She's always been there when I haven't, because I don't like asking for help, but she's always been there when I never think to ask for it. Last year, or even, just there. Last year, I was home with my family, bedridden for about 2 months because I got a concussion. Yeah. And I came down from Boston, and she contacted my mom, or she texted me or something, and my mom on my phone was like, Alexa's home. She's had an accident. And like Christy came over every day. She doesn't live in that house anymore. She now lives several towns over, about 50 minutes out of the way from my house, from where she works. So she could go home at the end of the day and drive for 30 minutes, or she could come see me and add another hour to her commute. And she came to me every single day to sit with me for 10 minutes or I could barely talk to me for 10 minutes, whether or not I was out of it. She was there every day, every single day. And I didn't ask. She was just there.
What have you two not done together that you've got to do together?
I really need to take her to Japan.
Yeah.
She needs to be there. We're in like the anime, the video games, Studio Ghibli, all of that. Like she would love it over there, and I got to get her over there. I'm going to figure it out.
Japan's we're going to talk about this on another episode, but Japan's a kind of a mutual love.
Yes, it is.
Between you. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but I kind of like Japan. But you know who likes Japan more? Right here. That's right. This lady. So you guys got to go on the trip. When are you going to do it?
You know what? I've been talking to her about it. She's going to come visit me, I think, later this year. I'm going to talk to her. Maybe after I get off the horn with you, I'll shoot her a text.
That sounds like a good plan. I think it sounds like because you guys are obviously, because of that wedding, this indicates that your fears were not founded and you did remain dear friends with this person.
Every time I go home, I see her at least once. Even if I'm passing through for like 2 days, I see her.
How did that happen? How did you break the rule? Because the rule, we know the story. We are as close to these human beings that we know growing up as possible. And then something happens and it's gone almost all the time. How did that not happen to you two? So
I'm a little bit of a tempest of a human being.
No.
But I am very loyal. Like I'm loyal to a fault. She has never, and I've made, bad decisions with boys, with jobs, with things. I have moved from Connecticut to Boston to New York to here. I moved out here 2.5 years ago. For various reasons. And I'm the one who's always moving. And like, to my deepest regret, those two other girls in our quartet, I really can't speak to their feelings because I don't really know, but I don't see as much of them anymore. And when I go home and I do see them, they kind of guilt me a little bit. Like it's upsetting. And it's this idea that like, oh, like you went away and like you didn't stay here and whatever. I don't really know, but hopefully one day I can patch that up. But out of everything I've done, everything I've said, every like misstep I've taken intentionally or unintentionally, she has not once passed judgment on me. She's the only person in my life who, despite everything, has not made a judgment and who has just been, I mean, she's called me out when I've like done stupid shit, but she's never passed judgment on me and she's always been there. Like if I reach out, she's there. And it's not like there's no hesitation, no, oh, I'm busy, no, nothing. It's like, I'm here. What do you need? Like she will be my friend forever. And when I think about moving out here and like starting a career and moving on with my life, like I always think about home and I always think about like not being near her. And like the last time I was home over Christmas and I like slept over in her new house and she's a big, beautiful house with her own cosplay sewing room. And everything's all set up and we made dinner together and I'm like sitting on the couch with her and we're literally on opposite sides of the couch scrolling through like Tumblr or something, just making jokes, like Yuri on Ice jokes and like dumb jokes and stuff. And I'm just like, damn it. Like I want to be close to her again. Like I'm about as close to her and feel as strongly about her as I can without actually being like romantically in love with her. Like I love that girl to death. Yeah. And I will forever and we'll be friends forever. And for everything she's ever done and everything she's ever supported me through, like I could never repay her.
I guess she doesn't expect that either though, does she?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't ask for anything.
Friendship's weird.
Friendship is weird.
It's this, there's very few things in life that you pull more out of than you put into. With friendship at its truest somehow becomes this thing that's much greater than the two people. I don't remember, maybe Paul Harvey who said in the human equation 1 and 1 equal 11, and that's the most cheesy sentiment. It's so dumb, but
I understand it.
But when it comes to friendship, I think there's something about that.
Yep. When you find that person, like that's it. And like the cheesiest, dumbest comparison, and I make it in my book, is like she is Sora and I'm 100% Riku because I am over here derping around, screwing everything up, falling into darkness and doing the wrong thing. And where's my damn Keyblade, whatever. And she's just like, I'm here and everything's going to be fine. So
I think that's that's a good point, I think, for us to transition, especially since, first off, thank you for the story. Second, you said, in my book.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned it once already. I wrote a book about Kingdom Hearts.
You did.
Kingdom Hearts 2. It's being published by Boss Fight Books. It's part of that series, and it should be out relatively soon.
Yeah? Do you have a date yet?
Soon.
Relatively soon.
Excellent. You'll be able to find me at PAX West and get your copy signed. Let's put it that way.
Exciting.
Let's put it that way.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You wrote a book.
I did write a book.
That's really cool and really hard.
Nothing is more infuriating than writing a book about something as complex as Kingdom Hearts and then having an editor. I love my editor, by the way. He's phenomenal. But having like an editor read it who's never played the games, who doesn't understand them, being like, are you sure nobody is supposed to be capitalized? Is this a proper noun? What do you mean? What do you mean heartless? Which Xehanort are you talking about? Who is this person? Can you explain? I'm like,
that's so
why is Mickey King Mickey? Like, I can't.
You know what? What you got to do is you just got to write 3 more of these and have them be bigger and bigger successes. So by book 4, you can be like J.K. Rowling. You don't have to listen to your editor anymore. Basically. And then it can just be a giant thick book with absolutely everything in it and nothing at all revised. Sound good?
Someday.
Good plan. So Goblet of Fire of video game history. That's what's going to happen here.
Goblet of Fire game history.
By the way, congratulations on that accomplishment. And again, why don't we plug the Patreon one more time? You are
What's Good Games.
What's Good Games. And if people want to follow you on the social spheres,
boy,
yeah, where do they find you?
I'm a little weird. I tweet about puppets and Fire Emblem a lot. You can find me at Alexa Racy on Twitter, and I am at Alexa Ray on Instagram.
Now for that hard left turn. It's time for instant noodles. You said this was making you hungry for ramen earlier before we started the show.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Not like actual ramen, like a cup, like the Final Fantasy 15 cup noodle thing.
That was
crap.
One of my favorite things ever. No, I loved that so much. The fact that they just went all into that was delightful.
Nothing gets me like cup noodle.
I actually had ramen last night. Like I was at a Korean restaurant and they had this it was sausage and kimchi and spam soup with like frozen like old like just plain out of the pack ramen in it. I've never had this before.
Dang.
And it was delicious. Absolutely wonderful.
I want that.
Yeah, we'll get some sometime. It sounds good to me.
Yes.
There's a good Korean place near here. Actually, a couple of them. But
I love the Korean food.
Yay! All right, so you ready for instant noodles? The
Yes.
lightning round of ridiculous questions.
Hit me.
Number 1, still my favorite question. Community submitted. What is best sandwich?
What?
That was how it was phrased. That we asked this every week. We asked the community for questions, and this is my all-time favorite. What is best sandwich?
What is the best sandwich?
What is best sandwich?
I grew up in the Northeast where pizza and Italian food are phenomenal, so probably a meatball grinder.
Oh, please define the difference between a sandwich and a grinder.
A grinder is typically a sandwich that is made with a roll that has been cut open and maybe dug out a little, and you stuff everything in it so it's slightly open on top.
Ooh.
It's not like it doesn't close completely. It's like, so you have like basically like a bread spaceship for your meatball and sauce and cheese passengers.
That's a marvelously lucid metaphor. That's kind of fantastic.
And it's like a little spaceship you eat.
I love that so much.
We say grinder. I know elsewhere in the U.S. people say sub or hoagie.
Yeah.
Or wrong words that are wrong. But I come from the land of great Italian food, so meatball grinder.
Meatball grinder. What's the first word you think of when you hear the sound of your own voice?
The first word I think of when I hear the sound of my own voice is just it's just a long, drawn out.
Let's hear it.
Sound.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the sound.
So, funny story about my voice. So my voice used to be much higher.
Oh, okay.
I used to do musical theater, so I was a mezzo-soprano, so I had a really high voice.
Okay.
And then I developed stuff on my vocal cords, and my register dropped.
Okay. Did that frustrate you?
So yeah, so I sound like a. Someone once described me as a hyperactive boy going through puberty. I hope that's not That's not what I sound like. But sometimes I hear myself speak and I'm like, God. Because I know, like, when I go on camera and I'm like, hi, I'm Alexa Ray here, and this is your whatever, I do automatically lift my voice up. But this is how I actually sound in real life, and I sound really terrible.
What's the best song written in the last 100 years? Yep. And it's lightning round, so just pick something here. You got to commit.
The best song
Written in the last 100 years.
is probably the song that is the most played on my iPod right now. My iPhone, which is actually To Xanarkand by Nobuo Uematsu from the opening of Final Fantasy X. That is a song for when you are sad, for when you are happy, for when you're hopeful, for when you are chill, for when you need to pick me up. Like, that song does everything. It's supposed to be sad.
But it turns out to work. It's a song for any mood.
Yeah.
All right.
It's my mood song.
Wow. Okay. I wouldn't. That's a really
Very
good
niche,
choice.
very niche.
No, it's fantastic. Give the title again, if you don't mind.
To Xanarkand.
All right, for folks who want to find it. And I'm sure that since all video game music is on YouTube, you can probably go listen to it right now.
Find it on YouTube.
My favorite video, Dream of the Shore Near Another World, probably.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
But yeah, from Chrono Cross. But yeah,
Chrono Cross. I appreciated Chrono Cross. Did you? You seem like a guy who appreciated Chrono Cross.
Yes, it has its issues, but I definitely appreciate it. There's a lot to love in that game.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
So yes, I did. Very much so. Oh, or maybe that. I was thinking of another song, but it's not my question. It's yours. So let me ask you this: what's your favorite word?
Butts.
Butts. That's great.
That it came out of my mouth. I say butts a lot. Like if something goes wrong at work, I'm like butts. Or if something is like good, I'll be like butts. Or if I'm literally just walking out the door, like if I'm ready to go, or if there's an awkward silence, I'll yell butts. I'm the kind of person that fills awkward silences with even more awkward vocal noises.
That's fantastic.
So we'll be like in a car. It'll be like me and Andrea and John Drake like in the car driving to Napa, and it'll be quiet, and I'll be like butts.
Butts.
Butts. Oh, butts. Butts. Butts is a great word because a butt is a weird thing, and butts is like a weird thing to like. If you look at a butt, it doesn't look like it would be called a butt. It looks like it would be called some kind of clinical body part name, like arm or leg, but it's a butt. Like the hard ending of that word, butt, is funny, and then you add an S, and it's butts.
That's kind of how do you say? I'm trying to remember. I forgot how you say butt in Japanese.
So did I.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot it too.
Butts.
That's really, really good.
Butts.
Travel through time. Meet any one person. Who would it be?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, that was quick.
He is my fantasy inspiration, followed very closely by Patrick Rothfuss, author of the Kingkiller Chronicles, which is more recent. The third book, not out yet. Please finish it. But J.R.R. Tolkien has had a very big impact on my life in many big and small ways. To boil them down, it was the first big girl book that I read when I was 12 and a half.
Okay.
12 and a half.
Oh,
I read them.
That's a really important time.
I read them, and then the first movie came out, and that was the end of my life. And I was obsessed with them forever.
Yeah.
I wore the ring around my neck for like 5 years. So J.R.R. Tolkien, because he inspired my fantasy writing for grand epic worlds and also fed my appetite for big epic worlds, helped me learn a lot of big words. Mm-hmm. It synced me up with a lot of other like-minded people in my like brain space range, people who appreciated it and liked it. Mm-hmm. It fed me my college senior thesis, which was about the Lord of the Rings and Ents and stuff. It led me into the path of a very eccentric professor at Boston University who was actually one of Tolkien's students.
Who was it?
Christopher Ricks,
No
Professor
kidding.
Christopher Ricks. He very, very, very old, and I was inspired by writing, and I thought maybe I wanted to go be a medievalist. And he was like, "Come into my office, and we'll have some tea, and we'll talk about it." So I went to his beautiful office on Bay State Road. Well, I don't think it's there anymore. And I sat in his big windowed room, and he made me tea and talked about Tolkien's lectures, about sitting in his lectures.
How was he as a lecturer?
He said, fast, deep, he just went with it. Didn't wait for anyone to catch up. Just go. Just
go.
lecture. Fascinated by it. And also that love of Lord of the Rings led me to meet some very interesting people, like the people up at like Monolith Productions, who made who made Shadow of Mordor and the upcoming Shadow of War, and one of my very good friends, who's a community manager up there. It led me into his path. So like Tolkien has fed my life in myriad rich ways.
Oh, so in extremely personal ways, over and over and over. I want to hear later about your end thesis. And also kind of, the world you and I work in, live in, the world that I think a lot of the people who are watching and listening, it doesn't exist without him.
No.
The video games as we know them don't exist.
That
Literature
fantasy?
as we know it doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy entertainment, the way we understand it, doesn't exist. He is the nexus point for all of that.
I had a lot of friends that were into Narnia, and they were just like, Lord of the Rings, they're walking in the woods for like 50 pages. I can't deal with it. Narnia though, like there's lions and like pirates and stuff. And I'm like, I feel about Narnia the way that Tolkien felt about C.S. Lewis. He brought Christianity to C.S. Lewis, and C.S. Lewis went from being atheist to, whoa, Jesus!
Yeah.
And like had this like crazy coming out to Jesus moment, and wrote a story about an anthropomorphic lion Jesus man thing.
He did.
And went full on in. And if you read, I read Tolkien's letters. They collected a lot of his letters in a book.
Yeah, didn't you say you over-converted him? Something like that?
He over-converted him. And a bunch of Tolkien's letters are him writing to people being like, I'm sorry about CS, guys. He's got to. I can't even with CS, you guys. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I feel about Narnia the way that he felt about that guy.
He probably shouldn't have encouraged him with the Inklings.
No, Tolkien made a monster.
Yeah, but those two together and what they meant to each other and what they did for each other. That's an extraordinary story.
It's a great story, and I love that like Lewis literally took everything way too far, and Tolkien was like, "Well, Tolkien, who was writing a book about like little people and a magic ring,
yeah,
and then this guy goes on with his like Jesus lion pirates thing.
Yeah, that's the difference. I mean, the Narnia is a direct allegory.
Yeah,
like
it's a direct
allegory. Not whereupon Lord of the Rings is a thematic.
It's a thematic
telling, and those are very different things. And Lord of the Rings, I appreciate Narnia. For what it is, but comparing Narnia and Lord of the Rings, or comparing Narnia and Middle Earth, I think even more, because Narnia is a place C.S. Lewis created to retell a story, and he does it very effectively, I think.
Yeah.
Tolkien just discovered Middle Earth. He didn't invent it.
Yeah.
It was already there.
Also, Narnia is like a literal world made of cotton candy. Like there's a reason people say like BRB Narnia and like not BRB Middle Earth. It's because Narnia is just like absurd, crazy town.
Well, there's no congruency there. It's an allegory.
And Middle Earth, like if you go back and like read like all his notes and his letters and his stuff, like he started building, he built a whole cosmology, and like how like there's actual maps taken from stuff that he made of like how the Earth shifted from Middle Earth to our current Earth, like the continent placement. Like he thought this out.
We could just keep doing
this,
by the way, but we
podcast.
probably shouldn't. But for the sake of our audience, however. Well, you know what? We're gonna have a Tolkien cast.
Tolkien cast.
We're gonna do this if you're cool with that.
I'm totally cool.
All right,
with
we're
that.
absolutely having a Tolkien cast. We're gonna make this happen because I can talk this topic for a while.
Let's do it.
All right, good. All right, we're gonna jump here to just a couple more. Who's your first kiss? Yeah,
my best friend in kindergarten.
Yep. How was it?
It was boring and dumb.
Boring. Cake or pie?
Cake. Are you kidding me? Cake.
That's the wrong answer.
No, it's not.
It's absolutely the wrong answer.
No, it's not. It's the right answer. Pie is okay. Pie is typically like creamy or dense or something. I feel like you can really OD on pie, but cake has all that airspace in it, so you can eat more.
Just eat more. Oh, so it's about quantity. What's the best cake? What do you like best?
So I have a original recipe for a super coconut cake that I actually engineered the recipe for my mother for her birthday.
Oh. Wow, you invented a recipe for your mom.
I like to workshop my own recipes. Like I'll take a bunch and I'll experiment and I'll swap ingredients out, try them. And I wanted to make a coconut cake that wasn't, because a lot of them use oil. So it was like the cake would come out a little bit oily. So I'm like, I want this to be lighter. I switched the oil for olive oil and I added a few other secret ingredients into it. And I made this and the frosting is like coconutty, but not super duper sweet.
I'm so hungry right now.
So I engineered this cake for my mother, who was born on, I had she's born on January 1st. She's a New Year's baby.
Okay.
So I engineered this cake in secret while I was living in New York, and then I came home for New Year's one day, and she went out with my dad because my mom and my dad, the dating never stops. They go out every Saturday and they go out on New Year's Eve. So they were out, and while they were out, I'm like, all right, I gotta make this cake. And me and another friend who was staying over, we made this cake. And my mom came home and was like, oh my God, this cake's amazing. And so my mother's, it's Gina's coconut cake.
Gina's coconut cake. Fantastic. I'm glad that's a great cake story. It makes me so happy. Alexa, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling your story. Thank you for telling us about your friend. Thank you for telling us about your cake.
Thank you for having me. I'll share the recipe with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're going to be later on Pretty Good Day. So maybe a couple months from now, folks, listen up for that as well.
Yeah.
Best of luck on your new endeavor.
Thank you.
Friends, thank you for watching, listening. You can mail us at mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. It's mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com, and we'll see you next time.